Welcome to How to Avoid Becoming a Grinch During the Holiday Season. My name is Melanie Taylor, and like Jordan said, I'm the Family and Consumer Science Extension Agent actually in Bay County. And if you're like, where's that? Panama City and Panama City Beach are our two big cities. We are over in the Panhandle. So first of all, I thought this was a great topic to have this year. Although most people look forward to the holidays, there is a certain level of stress that comes with it. And if we prepare beforehand, maybe we can lower that stress level a little bit and have put our expectations into check. So let's move on. So as the song goes, it's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the happiest season of all. So, but is it? That's the real question because so many of us feel so stressed during these holiday seasons. So even Santa, as you can see here, looks stressed and he's got a lot going on. But between having jobs and families and maybe being a caregiver for a parent, maybe being involved in the community and having lots of other responsibilities, sometimes the holidays can just become stress over stress over stress. So we want to talk about some ways to manage that because we don't want to be a Grinch. I know we all want to enjoy the holiday season. So if you will put, some of you already put this in there, but if some of you joined a little bit later, if you can tell me in the chat box some of the things that spark stress and the Grinchiness in you during the holidays. I know that we had children thinking that money grows on trees. We also had one saying there's too many events. And Jordan, can you read those to me? My chat box is not popping up. Or maybe it is. Hold on.
Sure, yeah. We just had a few come in. Just too many events,
Mhm.
children thinking money grows on trees, like you
Right.
said, disagreements with family, things like that.
Okay. Perfect. So I did a little research on some of the main things that stress people out, and so our next slide is going to show that. And here we go. There's all kinds of things. Decorating stresses people out, having distance from our family, flight delays, matching holiday outfits if you're into that kind of thing, traveling, traffic, work deadlines, because that's still in there. So work doesn't stop just because it's the holidays. Focusing on the new year, finishing out the current year. Some people have unreasonable expectations. Memories come up that make some of us sad. Some of us are suffering from grief. Some of us have overly excited children, and even though we're excited that they're excited, sometimes it can be overwhelming. And then some of those children don't realize money does not grow on trees, dealing with flight delays, loneliness during the holidays, just all kinds of things. Even the weather can be an issue. I mean, here in Florida, hopefully a hurricane isn't going to happen at Christmas. It shouldn't. But if you're flying in or driving into an area that's cold and possibly has snow or ice, those can all be issues. So just different things to think about that do cause people stress. And one of the ones I skipped there was calories. I know a lot of people worry about that during the holidays because we go to so many events and parties. So those are just some of the things. We each have our own individual stressors, and these were just a few, a variety to throw out there for us. Um, so just thinking about a few of these and what really stresses us out and what can we do to handle that. So one of the first things we need to understand is kind of how our brains work. And this is something we use every day. Well, excuse me. I skipped ahead one slide. So what we want to do is try to avoid being on that Team Grinch, obviously. So what can we do to avoid that? Is we need to understand how the brain works. So in understanding the brain, we have what's called shifting set, which is basically task shifting. And we use this every day, but it's our cognitive flexibility to shift attention between one task and another and to rapidly adapt to changing circumstances. And to many of us, we have jobs where things shift all the time, all day long. My job can be that way sometimes, and it can be hard, and we have to learn how to manage that. So we have Ellen Broughton, who is a PhD at through the Harvard, or excuse me, at an associate professor of psychology at the Massachusetts General Hospital. And one of the things she says is that the tough part is that shifting set, which can be hard at any point in the year, is particularly pervasive at the holidays because not only do we have all of our normal stressors, we also have all of those extra stressors that are included during the holiday season. And even though we can maybe okay at performing the time of the year, and some of us even struggle with that, once we add the holiday season, it just multiplies. So understanding that our brains can handle this, but we've got to figure out how to make it handle it in a better way so that we can transition and handle that stress and not overwhelm ourselves and then not enjoy the season and becoming a Grinch. Continuing with that, she says that once the holidays are over, we have ways of relaxing. And so the stress of the season goes away. So knowing that this is an acute reaction because it's temporary, okay, we know it's going to be over on the 26th of December or at least after January 1st if you celebrate the holidays all the way through. She also says that people who feel stressed during the holidays should evaluate how they spend their time, deciding what they want the holidays to mean to them and to keep their expectations for the season realistic. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about in a few minutes is how to keep those expectations realistic because a lot of us know what we want to do. We might have experiences from the past that we want to share with our family nowadays, but sometimes those expectations don't all fit into what we're able to do. So we need to think of it this way, and this isn't to belittle the holiday, but it's to remember the holiday is just another time of the year. It's certainly something to mark, but it's not the end all be all. So your kids and your family are going to have fun, even if you miss out on some of those high expectations you have. They may not ever notice that any of those things were missing. So trying to prioritize that is important. So this is a University of Florida IFAS extension publication that I think is a great way to think about ways to ease your holiday stress. So it has 6 steps here, but each step has its own very detailed manner and things to think about. It's more than just what you see on this sheet, but this is a great publication to follow. And I will tell you the links to all of these are in my last slide. So first of all, you want to plan ahead and you want to plan ahead for yourself, but you also should plan ahead as a group if you're going to be planning your holiday with your family or friends. And make sure you have those stressful conversations ahead of time. Where are you going to spend the holidays? Whose house are you going to be staying at? Who are you going to be visiting? And I know because my family lives in another state that when we go there, everybody wants to see you. But you're only there for maybe 4 or 5 days, and you might not be able to see everyone. And so you've got to prioritize that. Also, prioritizing ahead of time where are you going to be having the holiday? Are you going to be having other events while you're there? Are you going to attend all of those events? Because you still want to enjoy yourself without overstressing yourself. So, in any kind of stressful conversations, you might want to try to have ahead of time. If you need to talk about how you're going to spend time with parents that maybe aren't married any longer, or how to see all of the family and cousins in the best way with the most efficient time spent so that you can have some time to relax and actually enjoy yourself while you're on the holiday. So remember to enjoy your family and your friends on your terms. Just because it is your family and your friends doesn't mean you have to do everything they want to do. It's learning how to set those boundaries, figuring out what it is you want you and your family to participate in, and saying no to the others. And if you need to say no over the phone before you get there so that people don't have expectations that you'll be attending everything that they do, maybe go ahead and do that so that those hurt feelings can kind of settle down before you arrive. The next thing is to manage your expectations. This is one thing that I can be particularly hard about. I have to remind myself that life is not really a Hallmark movie, around the holidays. We see the Hallmark movies, we see the ads where it looks like everything is perfect, and we have to remember that that is television or social media. Everything is not perfect, and that's okay. So just remembering that the holidays are there to enjoy, and there are certain activities that you're definitely going to want to participate in, and your kids might want to participate in. But just remember, you don't have to participate in everything. One of the main things is not overscheduling yourself. If you kind of go in with the expectations that you're going to pick and choose what you're going to attend and what you're going to participate in and how much you're going to decorate and how many gifts you're going to buy per person or how much money you're going to spend on each person and kind of sticking to that, that will help you in doing that. And in managing your expectations, this is a good place where you're going to want to start making your lists, especially if you're a list maker, and kind of saying, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to spend money on. This is where the activities we're going to participate in. And then realizing that, some people may be disappointed that you don't come to their party or to some event or dinner that they're having, but realizing you're managing your own expectations for you and your family. It's not about pleasing everyone else out there. And that's your time to say no and realizing that that is the best thing for you because you still have to go to work. Your children are still going to school, at least for some of that time period. And you have to keep that sense of stability and the regular schedule going along with all of these other activities. And if you do have children, especially smaller children, you're going to have school activities at night sometimes when the holidays come that you're going to have to participate in. And so include all of that into you're going to participate in those. So you might want to take something else out of your schedule somewhere else because obviously those are important to your child. Just heading off number three, heading off your personal conflicts. Um, One of the biggest things that you might want to do, and this can kind of connect with step one when you're planning ahead, is to make sure that you take those hot button items off the table. Don't discuss them over the holidays. One of the big things right now is the election and politics and the culture of our country. And just if you know that your family has different opinions than you, just laying it out on the table before you even arrive, that those things aren't going to be discussed. And yes, that might hurt some people's feelings, but it will make the Christmas or the holiday season run a lot smoother if we're not all arguing over the politics or the money or whatever it is that the family conflict might be. And just enjoying because you can still love your family and enjoy your family members and still have different opinions and realizing that ahead of time and putting that out on the table beforehand so that you can avoid those types of things that are going to cause conflicts and could potentially, ruin the fun of the holiday season. Number four, if a conflict does arise, it's trying to stay as calm as possible and doing things to stay calm. Some of the things we have listed here is, if your family does start to have an argument or a fight, you want to try and keep your composure as well as you can. Obviously, you're going to have an opinion too that you're going to want to express, possibly. But you might all need to remove yourself from the situation for a little while. Take a walk, take the dog out, go to the mall, take the kids out for a walk, let them ride their bikes, doing something that's kind of soothing. Go watch a movie at the movie theater just to get out of the house and do something a little different. Read a book. Whatever it is that makes you relax and you calm down, step away from the situation for a little while so that you can come back and hopefully you'll all feel a little bit calmer. We all need a little bit of time sometimes to get over a certain comment or a certain situation and just moving forward from there. So taking those timeouts when we need them so that you can still enjoy your time together as a family. And then this is another place that kind of relates in with heading off personal conflicts. Keeping certain topics out of the conversation could help some of those conflicts not arise. And this could also be an area where we want to talk about limiting alcohol. A lot of people like to indulge over the holidays with food and alcohol, which there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's done safely. But just remembering that indulging in too much alcohol could cause some of those conflicts to arise more quickly because we might say things that we would normally hold our tongues on. We become a little bit more free with our words when we've had a little bit of alcohol or a lot of alcohol. And so just remembering that this might be a good time to remember limiting the alcohol could be helpful. One of the other things is number five, focusing on the positives. So you want to think to yourself, instead of trying, we all have things that have happened in our life that trigger us and that make us sad, and that holiday season can bring a lot of those feelings back up. But trying to focus on having a positive attitude, realizing the holidays are coming up, realizing that you have some of these sadnesses or loneliness moments and memories in your life that make you sad when you look back on them, especially over the holidays. But remembering to try to focus on the positives. Yes, we might miss those people because a lot of us are grieving throughout the holiday. But let's think about what we did have. We have those memories. Make those memories look at those memories in a happy way. At least you've had those moments with that person, even though they're no longer here. Also, remembering that they would want you to have fun, they would want you to enjoy the holiday. So, remembering to try and have a positive attitude. And some of us automatically kind of have a positive attitude. So, that's good as far as this goes, because you might already have those steps coming towards you. But if you are one that tends to focus on the negative, you may want to try and pull up some positive podcasts, some YouTube videos, some positive music, and just try and remind yourself that focusing on the positive can make you feel better. And also just reminding yourself sometimes that hiccups are going to happen through the holiday season. We're all going to have something that doesn't go right. The gift that you wanted to order for someone is going to be out of stock. You might get stuck in terrible traffic as you travel for the holidays. You might have terrible delays in the airport, as we've all noticed over the last few years. But those are all hiccups. It's normal life. You want to focus on the positive. Once those situation is over, move on to the fun that you're going to have and the quality time that you can spend with your family and friends. And then also, here's a good point. We're going to focus on the positives, but a lot of us do have sadness as we deal with grief. And this would be an opportunity for you to actually honor the losses that you've had during that year. Sometimes with grief, maybe leaving a table or a seat at the table that honors that person, leaving it empty so that you can remember that person, or lighting a candle in memory of that person. And even though this is under the focus on the positives, this is taking a sad situation and making it positive by remembering that person. Maybe light a candle and do a special ceremony with the family when you light the candle and let it burn throughout the day. If you're not one that likes to burn real candles, there are plenty of battery operated candles nowadays that you could have burning all day long that represents that person. And you know that they're not left out. Hopefully, you've included memories of them on the Christmas tree, whether it's through ornaments or through another ceremony or aspect of something that you're doing, so that you can help the children that are younger remember that person. So there's all kinds of things that you can do to take a negative situation or a sad situation or a lonely situation and try and turn it into a positive. And of course, in this situation, if you feel like you are not coping well, then reach out if you need help. Reach out to friends, family, a therapist, a religious leader, and reach out because those people are there for you if you need it. Number six is trying to remember to take care of yourself. So we've talked about all these things that are stressors, but we haven't talked about what are you going to do to relieve some of that stress within yourself, because you might be the one that's buying all the gifts, spending all the money, cooking all the food, cleaning the house for the people to come over, or driving the 10-hour drive to whatever state you're going to. There's all kinds of stressors, but we need to figure out ways to take care of ourselves. So remembering that exercise is a great way. If you are an exerciser, remembering to keep that daily exercise habit in your routine, even though your days are busier. You might not have as long to exercise, but keeping it in there is important. If you're not an exerciser, but you need to get some stress out, taking a walk is a great way to exercise without, needing to go buy equipment or go to the gym. Also remembering that this is a time where we might, again, like number four, we might indulge in too much alcohol, or we might indulge in the kind of foods that are in very high calories. So what we want to do is try and keep all of that in moderation. We're going to go to those parties, some of those parties, hopefully we've limited to ones we really want to attend so we can have fun and enjoy them and not be overstressed. But we want to remember that as good as the food tastes, we don't want to make ourselves have stomach aches. We don't want to have regrets that we've gained weight at the end of the holiday season. We don't want to feel, if we have diabetes or some kind of issue like that, you don't want to make your sugar levels way out of control. So just remembering that indulging is fun, indulging is necessary, and you should enjoy those things. A little bit of everything is great. Just remembering not to overindulge to cause any major problems. And then, that would be your physical well-being. And then taking care of your mental health. Again, reaching out to someone if you need it, but also exercising, taking a break, taking a walk. Like we said in number four, if a conflict during the holidays does arise, stepping away, taking that time for yourself. Yes, you're there to see your family and friends, but we want to try and be at our best when we're doing that. And if we're not at our best because we need a break, they will enjoy us better and we will enjoy them better if we can take that break. And just remembering to be responsible as far as taking care of yourself. You still need to take those moments. Sometimes it's just taking 5 minutes to take some deep breathing and to actually meditate. I know a lot of us at work sometimes just need a 5 minute walk away from our desk, and that might be all you need. Get some fresh air outside. But making sure you're including those because between the children that are super excited and hyper and the cooking and the cleaning and the traveling and the buying and the wrapping and all of those other things and the decorating, it can be very overwhelming. So just remember you do need to take that time to yourself, and that is not selfish. And that can be a hard thing for us to remember, especially if you're the one that's in charge of a lot of those things. Remember, we're better for everybody else if we are taking care of ourselves. And that reminds me to tell you if you are not feeling well, to make sure you go see the doctor so that you can get some medication so you can, or whatever it is they diagnose you with. It might just be to rest for a couple of days if you've got a cold. But just remembering to take care of yourself and don't forget to do that so that you can enjoy yourself and give everybody else the best holiday. That they can have and that you can have. We know that everybody wants to make sure their children and grandchildren and family members have a great magical season. But at the same time, like I said in the beginning, if everything doesn't work out perfectly, they're not going to remember the things that didn't work out. They're going to remember the fun moments that you had. So just remember not overbooking yourself, scheduling yourself and your family out enough that you're enjoying things, but you're not overdoing it and wearing yourselves out. That is the best way to avoid your over stressing at the holidays. And then remembering that we still have to keep the regular day-to-day life stuff going, including work. I know with my job, our end of the year reports are due on December 6th. And that's right in the middle of the holiday season. So I've still got to focus on those things. I know a lot of you that might be professors, you might have grades coming in at the end of the year. So at the end of the semester, excuse me. So we've still got to focus on those things. So we've got to figure out ways to make sure that we're doing that. Making lists is a great way so that we don't forget things. I know when I'm overwhelmed, my memory's not as good as it is when I'm less overwhelmed. So making a list, trying to delegate things to our spouses, our partners, our friends, other family members, older children, if you have teenagers, can help out with some things. So just remembering you don't have to do it all yourself and making sure that we're all sharing in the burdens that come with the holiday. And I hate to use the word burden because we don't want to think of the holiday as a burden, but there are certain parts of the holiday season that can come off as a burden at times. So, following some of these stress relievers, reminding ourselves that some of us are more organized than others. So, remember when you're looking at social media or Pinterest and you see those perfect moms or those perfect parents making it look magical and everything looks perfect, you're only seeing the best. You're not seeing the clutter off to the side. You're not seeing the chaos that it took for them to get that post up on social media. So, remembering not to compare yourself to those things. Everybody's holiday is different. Everybody's holiday can be great without having to do every single thing that we're invited to and having every little hallmark moment that we think we need to have. Remember, your children and your grandchildren are going to have fun no matter what you've done, even if it has to be scaled back due to money. Remembering that they're going to remember the fun moments and the fun. They're not going to necessarily remember that they didn't get a Lego set or that they did get a Lego set in 15 or 20 years, you know? So just remember the moments and the memories are going to be what they remember the best. So try not to overstress about some of those things. And also helping them lower their expectations. I know that someone said in the beginning, some children think that money grows on trees. Having those discussions that money does not grow on trees and not having adult conversations they can't handle, but having it in a way that they can handle and that they can understand. Kids do understand, can understand the grasp of money if explained in the proper way. And just helping them realize that Christmas can be expensive and that sometimes it has to be cut back and that maybe each child only get a certain number of presents that year or something, whatever it takes for your family to work. Every family is going to be a little bit different. Okay. So hopefully, following some of these holiday stress tips and thinking about keeping your expectations in check and trying to stay as organized as possible and trying not to overindulge in alcohol or food or overindulge in presents or whatever it is that your family tries to overindulge in or do too much of, or trying to avoid family conflict. Taking some of these steps ahead of time might be able to help you control some of that stress. And remembering that sometimes not going to those family events might be the answer. I recently have been in a program similar to this, and there was a lady who lost her husband this year. She's had some conflict with her family over the loss of him and how things are working out as they deal with things. And she's just opted not to go to Thanksgiving. She didn't say Christmas, but to Thanksgiving with her family. She's going to do it something separate on her own. And sometimes that might be what you need to do. It may not be what you do the rest of your life, but stepping back sometimes might be what you need for your own mental health for 1 year or 2 years. And just realizing the yes, people will be upset with you, but saying no sometimes is what you need to do for yourself. So self-care is very important, especially in these stressful moments. So, we've gone through the different steps. I know there are lots of other things that can be added to this, but these are just certain things that we can look at. I will say that this particular document that you're looking at right now is a University of Florida IFAS extension document, and I will have the link at the end if you're interested in downloading it. There is also an article that the professor that and the specialist that worked on this, Heidi Radankovich, has that goes along with this piece. And I've got the link also in my last slide on that if you're interested in reading a little bit more in depth on these. So once we have looked at these ways to ease our holiday stress and some tips to think about as the holidays start in about a week and a half, um, hopefully, as you can see here, our frowny Grinch face turned to smiles. Hopefully, we can figure out ways to enjoy our season better and with a little bit less stress. As we all know with the Grinch, at the end, he realized the true holiday spirit wasn't about gifts and it wasn't about all of that stuff. It was about family and love and friendships. And his heart grew 3 sizes that day. So that's what I hope for each of you that you will be able to take some of these steps and enjoy your holiday season. Hopefully, your heart will grow instead of being sad or stressed. And again, if you need any extra help, remembering to reach out to those resources and your friends and family that can help you through those hard times. Because we've all had a tough time the last few years. I know that in 2018, and this is something that some of you may be able to relate to, in 2018 here in the Panhandle, we had Hurricane Michael. And I don't think we've had a completely normal, what I consider normal Christmas since then, because we've lived in several different houses. And until this year, our house has been completely finished. We know where all of our belongings are, and maybe we'll have a semblance of what I consider normal pre-hurricane. And that's what I think of when I think of the people that have suffered from Hurricane Milton and the other hurricanes we had this year and Helene. So those people we need to think about the different stressors that they might have in their life, if that's affected any of you directly or any of your family members, just remembering that it's okay to have those different Christmases. It's going to be okay. Your kids and your family will survive the difference. There's nothing we can do about it. And I had to give up that control in 2018 and realize there's nothing I can do about this. We can't be in our home. We can't have all of our belongings this year and for several years. And just realizing that we got to let go of some of those expectations. So I hope that each of you will use some of these resources to help you get through these stressors that we have coming up in the next couple months and into the new year. Um, and I wish all of you a very happy holiday. Here are my references, and if any of you have questions, and I will actually look into the chat box now and see if I have anything that I need to answer.
Doesn't look like there are any
Yeah.
questions as of now, but yes, please, if anyone has a question, please feel free to drop it in or unmute yourself, and we'll be happy to cover those.
Yeah.
Just before we get
Oh, I
started,
see on here someone says the lights are her stressor. Her husband hates putting them on the house, and I pretty much always lose it when I'm putting them on the tree. Yes, lights are a big frustration for me too. Sometimes it's just taking a deep breath. And sometimes I just realize, don't our husbands know that we want those lights up and they make us happy? So why don't they just put them up without arguing, right? If it makes us happy. Um, but I understand the frustration, but those are part of it. Taking those deep breaths. Maybe asking him to put up less lights one year will help. Yes, the holiday creep. I'd like to celebrate Thanksgiving and then the Christmas holidays. Yeah. Christmas decorations tend to come up now very early. Sometimes they're even out in the summertime, and realizing that people have their Christmas decorations sometimes in October. And you're like, oh my gosh, what about Halloween? What about Thanksgiving? What about all these other holidays we have? And I totally agree. That's where we just have to set our own expectations for our own family, and we say, we don't put our tree up until this date, and that's what we're going to do, whatever that is, whether it's the day after Thanksgiving, or it is in November, early November, or if it's sometime in December. We're all different. Don't compare yourself to those people in your neighborhood that already have them up. They have their own family um, uh, expectations, and they're probably a lot more stressed than you realize. Um, Let's see. Oh, Jordan shared a interesting talk. If you're interested in more information on managing mental health during the holidays, she has got a link there. I think that's great. Thank you very much for sharing that
yeah, of course.
from a therapist. Um, and I think that's it.
Yep. Looks
Yes,
like,
somebody says one year, she says, I just can't do it. And so we didn't put the Christmas lights up that year, but Christmas happened anyway. It's going to happen no matter what. So just manage those expectations. Like in 2018, I probably just about had a breakdown. My husband probably thought I was crazy because I didn't have access. All of our stuff was in storage, and we weren't living in our house. And, you're already dealing with the fact that your house is ruined and all your belongings have been ruined, and then you've got to deal with the holidays. But we made it. We survived it. Now, what we did, and I will tell you, is that we actually went to see family in Virginia, and we just kind of enjoyed their decorations. We did the gift giving part, but otherwise, our family knew that we were stressed, and they just kind of backed off of us. And that's what we needed that year. So that's something to think about. When you have those stressors, and it doesn't have to be a hurricane, it could be a death, it could be any kind of stressor that we have in our life. And just realizing if you need to skip out on some of those special things, you'll have next year. And nobody's going to miss out. Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever holiday you celebrate is going to happen no matter what. And it's going to be fun. Even if it's scaled down, it will still be fun, and you will still have a great holiday season.
just to second
Yeah.
that, my family always kind of goes all out for holidays, but I know we've kind of had a stressful year this year, so we will be going to Cracker Barrel for the holiday dinners
Good for
and
you.
not
Good.
decorating or anything. But yeah,
Sometimes you
it's
just need
just
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really just like hanging out with your family and
Yeah.
you can there are a lot of things that come with the holidays, but yeah, they're not necessary if they're stressing you out.
Yeah, that's right. And back in, I think it was 2007, we were supposed to have a big Thanksgiving with all the family. And then we had several people that were pregnant. We had several people that came up with shingles and then chicken pox, and the pregnant people couldn't be around those people. And the doctors recommended it. So we ended up all doing every little individual family did something separate. And my husband and I ended up going to Cracker Barrel for Thanksgiving. And I will tell you, Jordan, it was delicious. And we didn't have to do any dishes or any cooking. And we haven't done it again, but it's not out of the picture. If we need to do that, we will definitely do it. So I highly recommend, if that's what you feel like your family needs, do it. That's why they're there. And it
Definitely.
doesn't have to become a tradition. It can just be what you do for a year or two, and then you move forward. So do what you need to do to take care of yourself. Oh, I had a Publix Thanksgiving after a big breakup. I think that's perfect. Yep, I love it. Realizing that sometimes we just can't do it all. And I saw one of my friends put on social media the other day, is it bad if I order a Thanksgiving meal and just have it delivered? And I thought, oh my gosh, no way. Do what you've got to do. Now, 15 years ago, if you had asked me that, I would have been like, oh my gosh, no, we have to stick to tradition. But the older you get and the more life experiences you have, you realize the family is what's important. It doesn't have to be the food or the tree or all the old decorations, although those are special. And I'm not saying get rid of them or, don't have those special times, but you definitely want to take into consideration your stress, your mental health, and what you've dealt with that year, and if you can handle it all.